now joined by Carmel's boys team here, Ryan Osborne and John Michael Malloy. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Well, Ryan, start with you. It's your first season at the helm of the Carmel team, but I know, having been in those shoes a little bit under Scott Heddy, not totally new situation for you.
Sure.
What do you how do things change for you going into this season? I know it's scooting over a chair, they say, can be a pretty big move. How have you seen that change, and what do you expect out of this team this year?
Well, having the kids that we have first has made the transition pretty simple, I would say. I don't know if simple is the right word to use, but made me feel at least a little bit more comfortable going into it. Being with Scott for the last 6 years and kind of having opportunities to take over different things or be involved in some things in the program, I think has prepared me a little bit. But like you said, it doesn't matter what you do as an assistant. When you move over a chair, it is a big difference. And the best way I could describe it is you don't just make a decision and move on. There's always decisions that you you always think about them. It might take longer, or second thoughts, or a lot. It doesn't end. I guess is the biggest thing for me. So overall, transition's been pretty good. The kids have been great.
I know when the job opened, Scott really supported your hiring, and I think the kids on the team really felt the same way. That had to be good to hear that, and then to have that backing going into the job.
Sure, it definitely did. Having Scott's support, and then talking to the kids and having their support. I think when you move over into that situation or into that role, it gives you a little bit of confidence moving in, and decisions that I think that we've made in the past that, in my opinion, weren't going to change, help the transition as well.
John Michael, asked you a little bit too about that, and I know Scott obviously had a great reputation as what he did at Carmel kind of speaks for itself. How have you seen, have things changed a lot since Ryan's taken over? Has it been kind of the same philosophy there at Carmel?
Like he said, not much has changed. We've been doing the same stuff that we've always been doing because it worked. He's been doing great, and we've been getting better each and every day, so nothing really has changed. We've been going hard in practice and just trying to get ready.
You should mention John Michael committed to Butler about 2 months ago or
right
so?
around a month ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's committed he's a junior, committed in the 2019 class, and I guess Ryan speak to what I've always been impressed, even watching him as a JV player as a freshman. You could tell he had a lot of ability, and I think probably 95% of the teams in the state he would have been playing on varsity right away as a freshman. But what does he kind of bring to the table? What do you expect for him out of his junior season?
Well, he's taken a lot of big steps forward, I think, in a lot of areas, not just responsibilities or roles on the team, but he's our hardest worker every day and consistently, and he has a high expectation for himself, which helps our expectation and to be able to push him. He takes coaching well. He's able to make adjustments, but I think over the last year his development as a player has grown more than it had in the past. Mm-hmm. He's kind of taken on roles of leadership and been a little bit more vocal at practice. And when your top player is more vocal and one of the hardest workers, then I think it gets everybody else going in the same direction. You don't want to be that one guy that sticks out because you're not playing hard. So he brings it every day. He plays hard, and he's a good teammate. He has a high basketball IQ, and the biggest thing out of all of that I would say is he's coachable, and he's looking for ways that he can get better.
In what areas do you feel like, as you assess your first 2 years of high school moving into now, what do you feel like you can get better at this point?
I mean, you always can get better at everything, but probably now it's just starting to stretch out. Now I know where I'm going for my college, and I know that I have to play at that level of competition when I get there. So getting stronger physically, being able to finish around the rim is definitely going to be a big part, but then also being able to step out and make myself kind of a stretch four. Because in college, I'm really not going to be under the basket all the time. I'm not going to be as big as I usually am in a high school game. So really just working on everything, trying to get better.
I want to ask you too. I know not all the headies are gone from Carmel. You still got Luke there playing guard for you. Who else are you kind of relying on other than John Michael and I guess Luke's there too? As
Luke stepped in late in the year last year and filled a starting role for us. We bring back 2 other starters, point guard and Cole Jenkins, who for at least half the season was our starting point guard. And then Jalen Wack, who was one of our top defenders last year. 2 seniors that we're leaning on. Jalen's the guy. I think you put him in a lineup, in any lineup. I don't think it matters what lineup it is, and he's the one guy that'll stabilize everything. He'll rebound, he'll defend, he'll make the extra pass. He's a guy that you don't really talk much about on the bench because he's never out of position or he's not ever not doing his job. So that'll play a big role that I don't think gets much attention or nobody really talks about it. Cole will start at the point with Luke. I think both of them will share that responsibility. Both of them are 2 dynamic players that bring different things. Luke plays at a good tempo, good pace. He's a pretty smart guard who's been around Bob and Scott his whole life. So I think that's kind of given him a little bit of an advantage. And Cole is a crafty, quick little point guard that makes big plays and likes to have the ball in his hands. So those 2 are going to be big for us. We got 2 other seniors, Alex Jackson and Eddie Gill. Eddie's super athletic and has been really good in the preseason and leading up to the year. And Alex is a guy that's come along. Didn't have any varsity experience last year, but we look for him to step in and play some critical roles when we need some rotation in the bench. And then the last guy is Andrew Owens, who's a junior, who's grown a lot and not a lot, but he's grown and gotten a lot stronger. He broke his elbow in the Pike JV game last year and sat out the rest of the year with that injury. And then I think he had a really good summer and I think slowly developing into a solid, consistent player. He's learning how to play hard all the time and defensive concepts are getting better. But he's very good around the rim. He can step out and shoot it a little bit. I think he's going to be that guy that kind of makes us a little bit different.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, guys, and really look forward to seeing this year's version of Carmel basketball very shortly.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks
for having us.
We'll be back here with another segment talking Carmel girls basketball when we come back here on Around the Mick. Well, back with another segment here on Around the Mick from the Marriott East on the east side of Indianapolis. And we talk Carmel boys basketball, and they're looking forward to big things this year. Now talking Carmel girls basketball with head coach Todd Windland. And Carmel already, the girls side, already doing big things this season, off to a 3-0 start. And I think ranked #1 in most every poll that I've seen this year in 4A and in the state. I guess, Todd, you start off with those high expectations this year. How do you feel like the girls have handled it so far? I know you got a good comeback win over Heritage Christian the other day, and it seems like things are falling together for you.
Yeah, we knew coming into the season that the accolades would be there and everything, and we've just focused on ourselves, being the best we can be, and the schedule we play is a really, really difficult schedule, so there's going to be some bumps in the road at some point, I'm sure, and we're just trying to prepare ourselves for the tournament, down the road. So.
No, you had a great run last year and ran into a kind of a buzzsaw team there, but you made a good run at Homestead in that game. Did your team learn anything from that? Do you feel like, or come back with any bigger kind of hunger about them this year?
Yeah, we did. That game was a huge disappointment for most of our kids, in fact, and got down and had the ball with 20 seconds to go and had a 3 to take the lead by 1, and it went all the way in and out by a freshman for us, Maddie Sears, and but I think that game propelled us, to getting a little bit more hungrier, and then we didn't push the panic button the other night, and we were down to Heritage at 18 at half, and I think that game is, is still etched in our kids' mind about, bad taste in their mouth, so.
Yeah, I know people probably know the name Amy Dilk. What does she kind of bring to this year's team, and what does she mean to you guys?
She's one of the best, if not the best, kids I've ever coached at understanding the game, and her floor vision is tremendous. And, she dominates a lot of games, scoring 10, 11, 12 points, rebounding. She's our leading rebounder. She led us in assists, steals, and scoring.
Wow.
So, she dominates at both ends of the floor, and she's surrounded by some really good players as well.
Yeah, speak to some of that. I know you got, it's more than definitely more than a one-girl show there. Who else are you kind of relying on?
Well, Tomi Taiwo is, University of Iowa recruit. She had 34 the other night against Heritage Christian, 15 of 15 at the foul line. Set the single season for most threes in a season last year at Carmel, so she's very, very good player. Blake Smith's going to Ball State, 6'3" girl, and more of a face-up player than anything. And our depth is really good. We got Jasmine McWilliams and Reagan Hune's been starting. We come off the bench with Mackenzie Wood, Maddie Sears, Molly Gillig, Macy Berglund. So we've been playing 9 kids, sometimes 10, pretty deep. So
yeah, Tomi, I believe, was named the one of the IBCA
Yes.
Players of the Week this week for that performance, and really impressive numbers she put up in that game. But Todd, when you assess, I talked to some of the other coaches about playing in the MIC, and it seems like when the teams get together, it raises the level of everybody, I think, and the kids really look forward to those games. How do you kind of assess the conference this year? And of course, we haven't talked to Pike yet, but they're coming off a run to the state championship game last year, and just seems like it's about as tough as it ever is.
Well, it is. I told my coaching staff when the preseason rankings came out, I said, winning the MIC is going to be tougher than winning the state, because you don't have to go through them all to win the state. We go north, and most of them go south. And I said, if you look, you got Pike, North Central, Ben Davis, and us. You got 4 teams, that are preseason top 10, top 5. So it's a brutal conference. I think that prepares all the good teams in the MIC to propel themselves to play in the state tournament. We've had good success in the state tournament.
When you look at this year's group, is there any particular qualities that you really, beyond the physical attributes, anything you really like about this group in particular?
My team?
Yeah.
In fact, well, it's a very good cohesive team. The chemistry's really good. We've got some sophomores playing, and the older juniors and seniors have really opened their arms to them being involved, and it's just a great group of kids to be around every day.
I don't know how you guys approach it necessarily, but do you look at a season and kind of lay out specific goals as far as what you guys want to get done?
Yeah, we let the kids do their own goals, and they listed their 5 top goals they wanted, then 5 other ones. So that's what we put on them. So when they achieve them or don't achieve them, it's on them. And we tell them every day, it's going to go quick, so don't take any possession practice for granted. So, we got a good mindset, I think, going into this year.
Well, best of luck to you this year, and
thank you.
Appreciate you coming on. Carmel off to a 3-0 start and ranked number 1 in the state right now, so performing well early on in the season. We'll be back here with another segment on Around the MIC on our basketball preview show from the Marriott East.